Hey guys, welcome to I'm Adam Kovic.
And I'm Bruce Greene.
And let's talk about getting hardcore with your video games.
I keep telling everyone I love Bloodborne, which means I'm a hardcore gamer.
Sure, whatever. So if you've spent a lot of time playing video games, that may or may not make you a hardcore gamer, like Bruce over here.
It does, in a way, but not like you think. Sure, you couldn't wait to tell everyone how many times you beat Dark Souls, and everyone can't wait to hear your charged opinions about how much Call of Duty is ruining gaming.
True, even still, a new report from Steam Spy creator Sergey
Galyonkin.
I'm gonna fuck that name up a few times, so get used to it.
Sorry, yeah.
Anyway, he exposed that our stereotypes for hardcore gamers, as well as many other kinds of gamers, is actually inaccurate.
How, Lawrence?
Okay, that'll take a bit of explanation.
That's fine, yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. Steam Spy is a tool that lets anyone comb through Steam profiles and extracts game ownership data. So if you go to steamspy.com, you can search for a game and see on how many profiles it's on, basically how many times it's sold. This allows anyone to see raw ownership numbers for Steam software, which is pretty cool. But when you start to analyze the patterns of ownership, you can draw larger conclusions like the one we're about to talk about.
Yeah, Galyonkin compared the ownership metrics of a few hardcore games, that is, ones that players spend a long time playing.
Okay.
That's Dota 2, Rocket League, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and Torchlight 2.
Yeah, given that these are all core games for real gamers,
With a Z.
you'd expect the ownership data to be similar, right?
Actually, wrong. Very wrong.
Very wrong.
Actually, go on. Tell us a little bit more, Lawrence.
Yeah, Galyonkin found that even though a given gamer will dedicate a lot of time to a particular game, that doesn't mean that that player will play other games in the same way.
Right.
That conclusion is reached by looking at the average number of games that these players own. Of the 4 games compared, Torchlight 2 players are the most prolific. They own on average 117 other games on their Steam profile. And that sounds kind of normal until you compare that to Dota 2 players, which on average only own 12 other games.
That kind of makes sense though, because Dota 2 is a free-to-play, right?
Sure, so you could say that like a lot of people are just making accounts to play Dota 2, but people don't typically think about it in that kind of way. They think, oh, if you spend a long time playing a game, you are a hardcore gamer, and that must mean you're interested in all kinds of games and play all sorts of other games. But Dota 2, people sink shitloads of hours into that, and they are apparently not interested in playing much else.
Right.
CSGO and Rocket League kind of land in the middle with an average of 40 and 78 games owned on accounts respectively.
Okay.
That's a shitload of games.
Yeah, it really is.
So anyway, the takeaway here is that even though a gamer may spend a lot of time on one game, that doesn't mean that gamer is interested in playing other types of games as well.
Yeah, or there are different kinds of hardcore gamers. So many, in fact, that using the term hardcore isn't very useful in describing any kind of player group.
There's a lot more to the data too. Not only do very few players own many games on Steam, but the number of gamers that buy and play many different games is way smaller than we may be thinking.
Right, Galyonkin reveals the core gamer audience, the ones that buy most major releases and play most games, is minuscule compared to the entire Steam user base.
Only 1% of Steam users own at least 33% of all copies of games on Steam. So that's not a third of all available games, just that a third of all games sold on Steam are concentrated into the most prolific 1% of accounts.
With a third of all games crammed into 1% of accounts, you'd expect those accounts to have thousands of games, right, Lawrence?
No, wrong. So to qualify for this kind of hardcore 1% bracket, all you need is at least 107 games on your account.
Okay.
And if you've been in the same room with your PC while a Steam sale is going on, you probably hit that pretty quick.
It's hard to avoid.
Yeah. So we're not talking about ridiculously hardcore gamers here. Just 107 games is I think pretty normal for Steam. But even still, that group only makes up 1% of all of Steam users.
Lawrence, I don't know if that's normal for Steam. I mean, like 107, that seems like a lot of
That's a lot of games!
Joel's over here shaking his head, but here's the thing. In the past, there have been sales, like Bethesda would do a thing during QuakeCon,
Yeah.
and they would sell every single
Like a
id game.
package,
Yeah,
yeah.
huge package. You can get like 78 games for like $5.
Yeah.
That happens. So sometimes, like, I need to look at my library. I think I've played about like 4% of the games I own. It's a little sad.
I mean, I've been on Steam since 2004, and I don't have anywhere near 107 games. I might have 30.
That's because you're on Origin, baby.
Well, that too, but I have like 4 or 5 games on Origin.
Buy more games!
Galyonkin's research finds that similar stereotypes don't apply to girl gamers, which can range from a woman in her 50s playing Candy Crush Saga on her phone, and a college girl enjoying Call of Duty on her Xbox.
Or vice versa.
Yes, a college girl enjoying Candy Crush,
On
and a
her
woman in her
Xbox?
50s enjoying Call
Why
of
would
Duty.
a college girl be in her 50s?
Even though we have all these fabricated archetypes for people that play video games, the data shows that our preconceptions don't exist in a meaningful way when it comes to how people play.
Now, here's the really interesting point. What does all of that mean, Lawrence?
The takeaway here is a little more profound than realizing we need to come up with like better terminology than hardcore when talking about gaming habits.
Yep.
Galyonkin suggests that this should caution developers away from trying to market games to these supposed demographics. He writes that even though Steam has 135 million users, you can't really think that you're marketing your game to all of those people or that they're potential players of your game.
Right.
Instead, the 1%, the people that actually buy and play a lot of different kinds of games, which is only 1.3 million users, are the ones that may actually play and buy your game. So even though the market is huge, you're really only looking at a really tiny part of it that may actually buy and play your game. The rest of them are just playing Dota.
Yeah, he even extends this flawed thinking to broad genres that experience sudden growths in popularity. Whenever a new genre blows up, publishers rush to create similar products, thinking that there's a new market and that the gamers in that market will want to try many different kinds of games. Totally wrong.
Yeah, ownership data surrounding Dota 2 and the litany of failed MMOs following World of Warcraft shows that thinking isn't true, and we should be able to kind of see that from the past. So now that Galion's confirming all of this, it makes total sense.
Totally. World of Warcraft, I would love to play.
The older, or Star Wars Galaxies, what else?
So according to the research, games like League of Legends and World of Warcraft don't create new markets. They are closed markets unto themselves.
Yeah, gamers that play Dota 2 aren't interested in trying other kinds of MOBAs. They play Dota 2 and just Dota 2 because that game consumes your entire freaking life.
Well, Joel plays League of Legends all the time. How often do you play Dota 2?
Wrong, actually.
Plays Heroes.
I switched. So I played League of Legends,
Now
but
you're
I
on
don't
Heroes.
play anymore. Now I'm playing Heroes of the Storm.
But you don't play both, right?
And it all looks the same to me.
Crossover.
Yeah, you don't really cross over, exactly. Similarly, World of Warcraft didn't find a market of underserved MMO gamers. It created a group of gamers that only played World of Warcraft.
Like Joel.
Like Joel, exactly.
A similar argument could be made for Call of Duty and its numerous copycats. For years, publishers tried to release Me Too military shooters, assuming that Call of Duty players would be interested in trying different kinds of games. Most of them faded into obscurity, a la Manhunter. At least we got a game called Warfighter, though.
Oh man, Warfighter. I like to say Warfighter. With any luck, publishers will take this data to heart and stop assuming that just because one game is popular, they should release several more like it to get those yummy knockoff dollars.
But then I gotta do research.
Maybe we as gamers can stop using inaccurate and overgeneralized terms when talking about how we play, right, Lawrence?
Yeah. I always liken it to other forms of media because that's where games are right now. People that watch movies, TV, or listen to music, they're not so simple that they can be categorized into a few different groups. Like, sure, there are movie enthusiasts and music enthusiasts, but they don't all behave the same way. They like different things even inside of their own form of media. And gaming is the same way.
Yeah, I think the ultimate takeaway here is that any sort of game publisher or developer should be trying something new because you shouldn't just be trying to chase what someone else has already done.
Yeah.
That's kind of lazy. I mean, granted, it's harder, but
No, it's true.
the best success stories are the guys who are reinventing the wheel, basically.
What about Notch? He kind of ripped off that
He
other
reinvented
game.
the block.
He ripped off that other game, though.
But it was called Inferium, and Minecraft's such a better name.
If you really like a movie, you're called a popcorn baby. When I was dating girls, they would say stuff like, I love books. Do you not date girls anymore, Joel?
What would happen if a 48-year-old NFL cheerleader raped 15-year-old Joel?
She'd go to jail.
We'd end up with the Joel we know today.
Yeah.
Is that what happened, Joel?
Per the agreement that I made when I was 17 years old after all the court proceedings,
talk about it?
I can't talk about it.
You were 15, not 17.
Well, no, but it was after all the court
Oh.
proceedings.
Yeah, once it was all said and done. Because he couldn't be named during the trial.
Let's talk about video games.
Anyway, hey.